Here's what we got in our produce box this week. We got lettuce, corn, potatoes, tomatoes, and a lot of tangerines. I actually ended up giving away the corn and potatoes to our family because it was a little bit too much produce for us. I also had one bell pepper already left over, and then I picked up some basil, some cherries, and some strawberries. I have been craving basil pesto ever since I mentioned it in the video last week. So today I'm gonna walk you through the batch prep I did for all of these ingredients, and then also some meal ideas on how to use them up. And with that, let's get started. I'm just starting by preheating the oven to 350 as we're baking a couple things today, including these sweet potatoes. Don't forget to poke a couple holes so they don't explode. And usually I bake sweet potatoes at 400, but they can also bake at 350. It'll just take a little bit longer. And I'm doing that because I'm also going to be baking some granola. For the granola, we just need about 3 cups of oats and 1 cup of any nuts that you like, plus a 1/4 cup ground flax, salt, and cinnamon. Now, a lot of people think you need oil for granola, but this one is actually oil-free. I am using a little bit of tahini in this one, but it is mainly just for flavor. You can definitely leave it out and still get a nice, crispy, clustery granola. Of course, I'll leave the full recipe in the description box down below. And then we're just going to bake this on a reusable baking mat at 350 for about 20 minutes. Then once those are in the oven, we can focus on washing all the veggies. I'm only using about half of this romaine today. If you leave the other half like this untouched in your fridge, it will last a little bit longer than the washed pieces. So it'll take us about a week to go through the washed leaves. And then once we finish those, then I'll wash the remaining leaves. And you can store this bundle in a Tupperware, but lately I have been running out of Tupperware. So each week I'm just reusing the same Ziploc bag. And then green onions also get washed and stored with either a tea towel or some paper towel. Mushrooms get washed very briefly, and then I like to chop them so that they're ready to use. Cauliflower, I usually just do a rough chop, wash, and then once it's dry, add it to a Tupperware. And then I did get 2 cucumbers in our produce box this week, but I'm just cutting one at a time. I find they stay fresher longer if they're uncut. So a cut one will last us about 3 days. And then once that's finished, then I cut the second one. And that'll just preserve the freshness a little bit longer of that second cucumber. I actually got 2 of these basil boxes. One I'm just gonna keep in the fridge because similar to cucumber, it will stay fresher longer if it is stored in its original packaging. And then the second box I'm gonna use for pesto, so I'm just washing the whole thing. Cherries I wash in the same way as our berries, just with about a tablespoon of vinegar added to the water. And then with strawberries, once they are washed, I like to pick through them one by one and add the less ripe ones into the Tupperware with either tea towel or paper towel. And then as I come across a really ripe one or any ones with bad spots, those will get cut up and therefore used first. So of course, remove any bad spots as you see them, and then just slice your strawberries into the Tupperware so that these are 100% ready to use. You'll be able to just spoon them into either your oatmeal, your yogurt, whatever you need them for. And so for us, it usually ends up being about half that I cut and the other half just gets stored whole. And again, I just find this helps preserve the strawberries a little bit longer. Cut ones don't last as long as the whole ones. And then just making a batch of hibiscus tea for the week. This will also be stored in the fridge for iced tea. Once your granola is finished cooking, very important, do not touch it. I know it's gonna be tempting because it's gonna smell so good, but just let it fully cool for about half an hour. Now, as I mentioned, I have so many tangerines and I noticed they were all getting ripe at the same time. So once they're ripe, it really is best to store them in the fridge to keep them from ripening further. But I found when they were in the fridge, I just wasn't eating them. So I've been doing this hack, which really helps, and that is just to peel all of them and store them fully peeled in the fridge. This way, whenever you're craving a tangerine snack, you don't even need to peel them. Because they're in the fridge, they still stay really fresh. And let me tell you, they are a lot more enticing this way. For the pesto, I'm doing an oil-free version today, so I'm just using veggie broth, some garlic, nutritional yeast, lemon juice, and salt, and then also adding in some walnuts. I do have a couple nut-free and oil-free versions in another video. I will also link that down below in case you're interested. Once the granola has fully cooled, we can break it into little pieces and you will see just how clustery this granola is, even without any oil. I just love this granola. It is so easy to make and really, really delicious. And then lastly, once the sweet potatoes were fully cooled, I just carefully removed them from the peel, gave them a quick mash, and then added some soy milk, chia seeds, vanilla powder, and a sprinkle of pumpkin pie spice. and then mix that all together and we get a beautiful sweet potato chia pudding.
So now that we have everything prepped, let me show you guys some super easy meal ideas. So for breakfast, of course, we have our sweet potato chia pudding. That should be eaten first for optimum freshness. And that can be served as is, or you can add some of the granola on top, or even some fruit if you'd like. Another breakfast option would be to make a yogurt parfait using the chopped strawberries, the granola, and of course some vegan yogurt. So for lunch, I have been craving a caprese sandwich, which is basically just tomato, basil, and mozzarella. Of course, in our case, we're gonna use a vegan mozzarella. There are a couple different choices. When I went to Whole Foods to pick one out, I was planning to buy the Miyoko's, but I quickly realized that the Gouda cheese is the same size and about half the price. So I did go for the less expensive option, but honestly, Miyoko's is also a really good choice. And if you didn't want to use vegan cheese, you could sub it for something else. The grilled veggies that I showed in last week's video would be a really good option here. Or you could even do something like marinated tofu, and that would be really tasty as well. So this is the second box of basil leaves. Like I said, they'll just stay fresher longer if you keep them in the box they came in. So when I'm ready to make a sandwich, I just take out a few leaves. Of course, we need some bread, our vegan mozzarella. Pro tip with your mozzarella, if it comes in a package like this where it is whole, just go ahead and slice the whole thing right then and there, and then store it in a Tupperware. You will thank yourself later. And the caprese sandwich is super easy to make. It is just tomato, basil leaves, mozzarella, and a little bit of balsamic on top. Another lunch option, which is super easy. This is actually a really good option for breakfast as well, if you like a savory breakfast, and that is just some sauteed mushrooms on toast. And if you had some cooked beans or hummus, you could use those on there as well, just for a little extra protein boost. For snacks, we have cherries and of course our hibiscus tea. We also have our tangerine snack boxes as well. For dinner, I wanted to use up our pesto, so I'm just gonna do a simple pasta dish and of course add in that washed and chopped cauliflower since it is ready to use, and then just use the pesto as the sauce. Once your water is boiling, just add your pasta, and then about halfway through the pasta's cook time is when I like to add either broccoli or cauliflower. And then add your pesto right back into the same pot you used for cooking. You can top it with a little bit of nutritional yeast if you like, and enjoy. And we need to use up our lettuce, so we're gonna do a big salad. Let me know in the comments down below if you have other uses of lettuce that you love. I always think of lettuce wraps and salad, and other than that, I kind of run out of ideas. So if you have another one, let me know. But we are just gonna do a very big salad and use up also those chopped veggies, the cucumber and bell pepper. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of vegan cheese and vegan chicken on there, but those are both optional. You could sub them out for something like beans. And then we are gonna keep the dressing very simple and just use our balsamic glaze. Salads, of course, are super versatile. Add in anything you like. I'm just using a little bit of fresh basil leaves, the balsamic glaze, and even some strawberries for a little pop of sweetness. So now we've made breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner, but what about dessert? If you like to have sweet treats on hand, especially ones that are super easy to make, you've got to check out this video right here. All the desserts are 3 ingredients or less, and I even have a free download there with all the dessert recipes. So go check it out after this one. And with that, let's eat plants, and I'll see you guys next time.